G'day. I just want to talk to you today about priming and preparing boards before we go out painting. I get a lot of questions before my workshops as to how I suggest you prime a board. So there's two different sorts of boards I like to use. This one here is a straight MDF. It's a smoother board. This one here is more of a masonite type of product. You've got a little bit more texture to start with. They're very absorbent, these boards, when you're starting out, so it's very important that you prepare them properly. The ultimate and preferred way to prime your boards is with an oil-based primer. It is the best way to prime your boards. The problem with it is it takes a long time to dry, and you could be up to 3 to 6 months before you can paint on your panel. So I'll talk about that a little bit more in detail later. For the sake of any workshops that you're coming to with me, a straight gesso and a moulding compound, a mixture of those two there will get you a nice texture to begin with. Okay, so here's a board that I've already pre-coated with a couple of coats of gesso. I find that you need at least 2 coats, and you've got to let them dry in between each coat, or else the gesso just seeps into the board. It doesn't actually do its job. So you've got to put a coat of gesso on, let it dry, put a second coat of gesso on, and that's just the straight gesso without anything else in it. So at the moment I'm just sealing the board here. After those 2 coats, I'll take a piece of sandpaper and just give it a smooth rub back. This knocks off any of the texture that you maybe don't need at this point. I've mixed up a 50-50, half modelling paste and half gesso into this tub here, and I've stirred it well. You can see here it's a nice thick texture. Here we go. This is the important bit. You need to apply this nice and thick. Build your texture. You've already applied your 2 coats of gesso. If I hadn't applied those 2 coats of gesso, this texture would just disappear into the board and you would lose it. All the work that you've done. So you can really build. You can pull like this. Build your texture. Whatever texture you want. We're doing landscape, and landscape's rugged, it's got rough textures everywhere. So we can build this texture up, we can put some lines, sort of painterly lines through it. Once I've done that, I like to take the palette knife and just drag it across. You can see that's just knocking the tops off some of those. It's giving something extra to the painting. So you're sort of building a painting before you've even started. So you can see here how much texture is on there. Now the problem with the gessos and the modelling compound is this texture will disappear and soften out a little bit as the water evaporates out of the product. Whereas with the lead white oil paint, it tends to hold its texture. This board here, this one has been prepared earlier with the Cremnitz white, the lead white base paint. You can see here that it's got a really nice texture to it. The other nice thing about this being an oil-based primed canvas, it won't absorb the oil paint when you go to paint on top of it. The paint will sit on top and stay with a nice gloss. It'll retain its form. This is the one we prepared earlier, and you can see now how it's really flattened out and lost a lot of that texture, and that's just due to the water disappearing out of it. As you can see, you've got an oil primed board versus an acrylic gesso primed board with a bit of modelling compound mixed in. I like them both for different reasons. If you ever get the chance and you find the time, I highly recommend the oil-based primed board with the lead white. It really will improve your painting. You can build some nice textures with this stuff and it doesn't disappear. Okay, last major question I keep getting asked is, how do I carry my wet painting home? Just get yourself a box, something like this, an old pizza box or something. This works perfectly. You can take the painting and just lie it flat in the box like that. Just carry the box home, put it in the car. It's out of the way, it's dry, it's kept away from bumping into anything. That's a quick fix. If you have the time and you're a little bit crafty, you can build yourself a nice little panel carrier. You can also buy these online. This one I built for myself. The wet painting goes in there like that. Shut the lid. And away we go. You can see here that it's just 2 slots, something like a CD holder for an old CD rack or something, and it slides in there and it won't touch anything. Alright, that's it for now. Hope to see you next time, and looking forward to seeing any of you out there painting in my workshops. Cheers.